After the Mets lost Tuesday night against the Miami Marlins to Sandy Alcantara, Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto had some crazy things to say in the press conference about the Marlins ace pitcher. We're going to get into what they have to say and if a trade could possibly be on the way for the Marlins' former Cy Young winner. And we're going to break down if this is actually a possibility and what a hypothetical trade could look like for a guy like Sandy Alcantara. What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in. You are locked into this new edition of Mets Digest with your host, Michael DeAngelo. As you see on the screen, before I get started, it is Mets home opener tomorrow at Citi Field. I gotta ask you guys, please hit that subscribe button for the Mets opening day. Finally, here is coming at Citi Field. We are at a little under 4K subscribers. As soon as we hit 4,000 subscribers, I'm going to be doing my next big giveaway on Twitter. I will drop my Twitter as soon as we hit 4,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell whoever you go to the games with that this is their one-stop shop for everything New York Mets baseball. Everything roster news, trade updates, trade rumors, free agency, injuries, discussions, debates, all of that right here for you. I've been on top of almost anything juicy that I could report from the Mets, from the side of the Mets to you guys. And I would appreciate if y'all were to subscribe so that I can give away some cool Mets memorabilia to y'all, because that's what I want to do. I want to give back for you guys sitting here and watching me ramble on about the New York Mets for however long. But yeah, let's get started. So the Mets ended up taking the series against the Miami Marlins, thank God, after barely scraping by in the extra inning game in the matinee game to the Miami Marlins, winning 5-4 to take the series. But on Tuesday night, they took a loss to the Marlins due to Sandy Alcantara being regular Sandy Alcantara and, just showing flashes of what he used to be prior to his Tommy John surgery. Now, post-game was very interesting, mainly because Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and Starling Marte all had things to say about a possible trade for Sandy Alcantara. Like, they basically, reporters like Mike Puma of the New York Post asked them questions, and they had some pretty big responses into what could be a possibility of bringing him over here. So let's take a dive into what was said. The first, with the biggest being from Juan Soto himself, saying it would be one of the best trades that we could have. I know we have great pitching here, but adding a Cy Young winner like that would be huge. If he goes to a team that has a chance to compete at the end, I think you are going to see who he is. He is doing that on a team that has no serious chance to go to the playoffs, but he keeps trying and competing even without run support. Whenever he goes to a winning team, you are going to see what Sandy Alcantara is capable of. Now, that's a pretty big statement. And, MLB has nothing with, they have no rules or regulations when it comes to tampering or mentioning other players when it comes to free agency and trades. So pretty much it is fair game when you are allowed to say that you want a player on a team. Now, he continues on to say that it's going to take a lot to get a guy like Sandy Alcantara over here to the Mets, mainly because he still has a good amount of years left of team control. If we were to take a look at that real quick, he's set to make a little over $17 million the next 2 years, and then has a club option for a little over $21 million a year. So that's 3 years of a Cy Young winner that you can have in this rotation next to guys like Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Frankie Montas, and Sean Manaea. It would just be an overall insane addition and would definitely fill out this rotation and really make it a complete unit. If you were to have Sandy Alcantara, Kodai Senga, Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, and David Peterson, I mean, that is a wonderful rotation, and he takes it to, and adding a guy like this takes it to a whole new level. Now let's look into what Francisco Lindor had to say about it. It wasn't too much because you know him. Anything when it comes to trades or front office moves, he tries to push away some questions, but he said it would almost be like adding Soto. You add Soto, it's going to help the team. You add Alcantara, it is going to help the team. So, he had, between the likes of three key players all chiming in on possibly trading for a guy like Sandy Alcantara, definitely's got to ring a bell to David Stearns. Now, could something happen right now? I would say that is not likely. I mean, it is still April. He's only had two starts. His ERA is a little bit above a 3 right now currently. He's still trying to get his bearings under him. We don't know what kind of Sandy Alcantara we are going to be getting this season. I mean, he's coming off of Tommy John surgery. It's got to take a little bit more time to really see what this guy is really worth, because the last thing you want to do is blow up your farm system and he ends up being a big time bust. And now you're stuck with him for, 3 years or 2 years at least, with, trying to build a World Series contending rotation, and, you have this guy weighing you down. But, I mean, he would still be able to fill out the rotation and be an effective starter, even if that was towards the bottom, if he were to be quote unquote struggling. But, the one thing that he lacks obviously is run support. And, seeing a guy, on a team like the Miami Marlins, coming over, it would take a lot, because, if you were to trade, anytime you trade for a player from a division rival, usually the asking price goes up a good amount. And, shout out my boy Dan Bartels. So this would be a possible hypothetical trade for Sandy Alcantara. He mentions Brett Baty, Jet Williams, who's currently our number 2 prospect, Drew Gilbert, who's currently number 11 for us, and Blade Tidwell, who is number 16 for us. So if you were to look at I wouldn't be too mad about a package like this, but of course it's always going to be tricky when you have guys like this going over to your division rival who can end up haunting you later on in the future if they were to become effective star players. Now, if I were to tweak this a little bit, I would say, throw them Nolan McLean, who is our number 12 prospect, so that we wouldn't have to maybe give up a guy like Jet Williams or Brett Baty. Give them a better ranked pitching prospect so that we wouldn't have to give up so many great position players. Drew Gilbert, throw him in there. I'm sorry, he's a fantastic prospect for us, but there's just no need for him at this point in time in the outfield with guys like Brandon Nimmo, who we still have for another 6 years, Juan Soto, who we have for 15 years, and there's guys already up in the majors that we know that can play center field. We know Luis Angel Acuna Jr. or Luis Angel Acuna. Sorry, I always add the junior because of his brother. He's had experience in AAA in center field, so he could possibly take over that position sooner or later. So the outfield is set. Carson Benj as well comes in a top 10 prospect for us. He's in single A right now. We have a plethora of outfielder prospects. So throwing a guy like Drew Gilbert to the Marlins, who are in desperate need of any type of star position player, would work out perfectly. But I don't mind Blade Tidwell obviously departing. The better pitching prospects we can keep, the better. Obviously, you want to stay far away from giving up Brandon Sproat as much as possible. He's our number 1 prospect. And of course, with Sandy being a former Cy Young winner, that would definitely, that would definitely be in the idea for the Miami Marlins to ask for a guy like Brandon Sproat, but I'm sure it is not going to happen. The Mets would rather just throw a ton of other top-ranked prospects at the Miami Marlins besides Brandon Sproat, so that you can later on have a rotation of maybe possibly Sandy Alcantara, Kodai Senga, Brandon Sproat, and Sean Manaea. And David Peterson. That's just crazy. I mean, that would be, most ideal for us at this point in time. But, let me know in the comments what you guys think about, something like this. Should the Mets trade for Sandy Alcantara in general? Let me know. I mean, if you think the pitching rotation is good enough with Frankie Montas and David Peterson and Kodai Senga, go ahead. I mean, by all means, I like, what David Stearns has done with the rotation. I just, with Frankie Montas being such a toss-up and you don't know what you're going to get out of him since he's just been riddled with so many injuries, I would like for this to happen, especially if we're going to be in World Series contention. You need an ace. It is pretty much, everyone knows pitching wins World Series. you need an ace, and this is your ace that you can go out and get. Now, there might be other aces on the trade market yet. We have no idea. The season's too young. But right now, Sandy Alcantara is definitely the most likely, top pitcher to be on the trade market. And it's a little too early to tell if the Mets would really trade for him or not. But this is a pretty decent foot to get off on, and the fact that key players have chimed in on possibly bringing over a guy like this is huge. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about Sandy Alcantara possibly coming to the Mets. Um, and that is all I have for you guys here today on Mets Digest. One more thing before I want to say before I go. If you guys are ever at the Mets games at all, I will be working for the Mets this season. I will be in the Amazing Memorabilia store. Also working in the block party as well. So if you guys ever see me, come up, say hi. Um, yeah, so I will be, an employee of the Mets this year, and I hope to see y'all there at the games and stuff, and in the Amazing Memorabilia store. So I will be signing off now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everyone, and happy home opener.